This is True Voice Unfiltered, the podcast where raw truth meets real transformation. I'm your host, Daria Anne, ghostwriter, content strategist, and holistic health warrior. No, I'm not a doctor, nurse, nutritionist, or any kind of medical professional, and this show does not dispense medical advice. I'm just an informed patient sharing what I've learned on my own healing journey. I also interview accomplished authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and functional medicine practitioners who are transforming lives. If you're ready to break free from the sick care system, reclaim your health, and transform your life, you're in the right place. Let's get unfiltered. Hi, everyone. Welcome to True Voice Unfiltered, where raw truth meets real transformation. I'm your host, Daria Anne, and I thank you for joining me today. And on episode 7, I have another exceptional guest by the name of Frank Healy. Now, Frank has a very interesting background, and I'm going to go ahead and read from his bio right now. Frank Healy has one of the rarest memory abilities in the world. He remembers every single day of his life since the age of 5. He can recall the exact day of the week, the weather, major news events, and his personal experiences on any given date. In 2011, he became a research subject at the University of California, which identified him as one of only about 90 people worldwide with highly superior autobiographical memory. In addition to his extraordinary memory, Frank is a licensed professional counselor, life coach, and author of several books on healing your past. He specializes in helping people overcome emotional pain from trauma and teaches techniques to strengthen memory and resilience, blending his rare gift with professional expertise to inspire lasting transformation. And we are all about transformation here on True Voice Unfiltered. So welcome, Frank, to True Voice Unfiltered. I'm really thrilled to have you here today.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And Frank, I have to say, I've heard of the kind of memory you have because of the actress Mary Lou Henner, which I suspect most people have heard of it. Those who have heard of, I know we call it a super memory. I know I read in your bio there, there's a more sort of formal name for it. But I want to ask you, so it was like you were the age of 5 when you realized that you had this ability. Tell us a little bit about how that unfolded.
Okay, well, I was the end of February and beginning of March 1966. I was home from kindergarten for a week with the chicken pox and actually too sick to even be up playing with toys. And it just happened that my Uncle Billy from down the street had given me his company's calendar for that year. So I entertained myself that week by looking at each block of a date and picturing and playing the song in my head of what would be on primetime TV that night. And so by the end of the week, I realized, wow, I know the entire calendar for this year. I knew that particular year, I knew my birthday, May 21st, would be a Saturday, and that Thanksgiving would be November 24th, and Christmas would be a Sunday. So then as each day went by, ever since that week, I make mental notes all day about what day it is. So that's why I'm able to remember personal events and if there was a big news event on any given day, and the weather where I was for every day since then. So we're talking 59 and a half, almost 60 years of daily memories.
That's pretty incredible. Let me ask you this. So you got this calendar, you were homesick with the chicken pox. So is this memorization, or did you look at the calendar and all of a sudden you started remembering things? I'm going to make sure that I'm understanding because it's fascinating to me.
Well, it's interesting. For all these years, until I was studied at the University of California in 2011, I thought it was just efforts that I made, that I worked at it. But, when they studied myself and the others, I was number 12. Mary Lou was, I think, 5 or 6, and I was number 12 subject that they studied. They said it is an inborn ability. And one thing, when they did the MRI, they found that parts of our frontal lobes, which is the thinking part of the brain, are almost twice the size of the average person. So
That
so
is
it is
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's just so it was kind of neat. And through the years, going through life. Like, sometimes when you're a kid and a teenager, you might have those moments where you feel like you're not good at anything. I was always able to help myself through that by remembering, yeah, but I have a darn good memory. So I have that.
Well, my gosh, yeah, I can certainly relate to that in high school. I was very insecure and
Yeah.
very, I think a lot of people at that age are kind of very unsure of yourself, but it's fascinating to me that there's a physiological basis because that was going to be my next question. So your frontal lobe it's larger. You said 3 times larger than
Almost twice the size of
oh,
the
almost
average
twice.
person. It's like, imagine the average person has a size 6 and we have about a size 10.
That
So
is
it's,
it
yeah,
fascinates me. And
yeah.
I wonder, so were there any other commonalities among the people in these studies? It sounds like it was male, female, so it didn't really matter what sex you were. Was there anything else that you all had in common? I'm just so curious.
Well, I found that interesting too. We were in such a variety of careers and things, and like I've kept friends with some of the other people. Man who manages theaters and restaurants, and there was of course Marilu, an actress, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and author. So, and there were people who worked in offices doing accounting, which is the kind of career you'd at first people might expect that would do, but it was actually kind of a relief for me to learn that the whole thing had more to do with autobiographical memory than it did with being good with numbers. Because sometimes I'd have thought, people have said to me through the years, like, well, shouldn't you become an accountant or an economist or something to do with numbers? And to learn that I didn't live my life wrong. And actually, psychology is appropriate because how I got into that was, not only do I remember the events of every day, but I remember the emotions felt through all that. So if you can imagine, some people might think, oh, that's great. You remember every bit of fun you had on vacations and out with friends, and not only your first kiss, but all your kisses. But sure, that's the good part. Now, the downside would be also remembering days of romantic breakups and bad days at work, and all the stuff that wasn't so nice and pleasant. So I got interested in psychology because I wanted to be able to let go of the feelings and emotions from negative memories because I knew I wasn't going to let go of the memories themselves. So at least if I could let go of the feelings, and that led to becoming a therapist and helping people with post-traumatic stress and all kinds of things. So
So
learning.
that is I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
No,
that's like an authentic pain to purpose story. You took sort of a real life experience and you kind of went into a career that helped you kind of process everything. Sounds like.
yeah. So I help myself as well as helping other people.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I'm listening to you, that you weren't just like remembering good and bad things, but were you sort of like reliving? So it was sort of like having PTSD, like where you're not only just recalling a memory, but you're actually like in it.
Well, yes, that's how intense it would get. Like it was. I remember it with everything with such emotional intensity that it would feel like it was happening right now all over again, and that's why a lot of my even some of the exercises I do with my clients and that I've learned to do for myself are about grounding yourself in the present moment. Like if somebody's having a flashback about maybe some abuse they had, okay, well, I'll do some and so these exercises, variations of them, actually run across several of my books. The Heal Your Memory series, as well as Somatic Therapy, and it's like take some deep breaths and feel your body and feel yourself. If you do it standing up, feel yourself touching the ground. You're getting your energy and get from the earth. And then when you've done all that feeling, then start thinking thoughts like of what date it is now and what your circumstances are to ground you in the present rather than grounding you in some unpleasant, nasty thing that happened in the past.
Yes, and it reminds me of a friend that I had. I was with him one time when he actually had, I'll call it an episode for lack of a better word, because he was in the military and we were talking one minute and then the next minute, I mean, he was literally in that scene back in the military where something horrible was happening. And I mean, he was responding and like he didn't, it was like he didn't even know I was there. It's like he had gone back in time and he was in that memory. And then finally, I just kept saying, "You're okay, you're okay." And then he remembered that he had been told, like, just like you're saying, ground yourself, like feel your feet. We happen to be sitting in the car, but like feel your feet on the car,
On
feel,
the
just get
car floor.
yourself on the
Yeah.
car floor. Yeah, let's just get yourself back into the present moment. So I've seen how intense that can be. And even as someone, I mean, I overcame panic and anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And so I understand what it feels like. I used to have these feelings of being sort of like disconnected from my body. Like it was an out of body experience, but it wasn't like a peaceful out of body experience that, people who have crossed over talk about. It was a strange, unsettling feeling. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love your book, Somatic Therapy for Beginners, so much. And that is your most recent release. I know you've written several books. But I love that book because at the end of every chapter, you include like practical, easy exercises that people can do at home safely. Now, I understand that maybe to go deeper, people really should work with someone like you one on one.
Yeah.
But let's go back and just explain to our listeners, what is somatic therapy? Like, define somatic and tell us a little bit about that. And then we can talk about some of the key points you discuss in the book.
Okay, well, somatic means in the body. And it comes from a lot of times. I mean, most people think that maybe we hold all our memories and thoughts and even feelings in the brain and the nervous system. But it's been discovered in recent years that we can hold memories in any part of the body. And so, and a lot of times when you're experiencing a trauma, for instance, like being beat up or raped, where at that moment you're not able to move your body. But now, if you're in a therapy session, if you're recalling the memory, you can move around, you can move your arms and legs, maybe even if you feel you need to, punch the air, and
Hmm.
anything where you can, because I mean, many people say, well, sure, we feel emotions in our heart and that too, but we can feel like, and a lot of times you can tell where do you hold it by when you get tense or uptight, what part of your body tenses up. Like for some people, it's the jaw, and for others, they might have a knee-jerk reaction. And I think a lot of people, when they get anxious, they feel it in tightening of the stomach. So it's important to let those body free the emotion from those body parts and really free your body from the effects too.
So Frank, so even if somebody, maybe they don't consciously, let's say somebody was abused as a child and they've grown up and they've kind of blocked that out because that was their defense mechanism when they were younger, to just sort of like maybe have that out of body experience or force themselves not to really feel anything. And maybe as an adult, they're not consciously recalling a specific memory, but they're feeling it in their body. Is that what happens?
Yeah, that can happen a lot where the feeling comes up before before or even instead of the actual details of the memory. You might just get a feeling somewhere, and it's important to work that out. Move around, and even if it's real hard to do at first, move the body part where you're feeling it the most. And and it may or may not where the actual memory pops up, but it does tend in just about all cases, the feeling and emotion comes up before the actual details of the memory.
Yeah, I mean, I find that fascinating. And as someone who did go through talk therapy, and I'm not disrespecting it or dissing it, but I found like back in the day, going back a couple decades when I was dealing with panic and anxiety disorder, I went to a very lovely woman who was a, licensed therapist. And I also was invited at that time too by a woman I knew in a group business or, networking group that I was in. And she invited me. She had like the 6 week course, and it was specifically for people dealing with panic and anxiety disorder. And I will always appreciate her inviting me, and I'm glad that I did it. But I was finding like the longer I was in this course, like every week, the more I heard other people talking about their anxiety, the more anxious it was making me. So one of the things I love about somatic therapy is you point out like when you work with people, they don't have to talk about anything. You just sort of identify where it's showing up in the body and then apply specific exercises to release it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think for some people, they feel things more than they're able to articulate them. And so that can be really good for someone who's maybe they're not that much in touch with their thoughts, but they're somebody who's maybe primarily kinesthetic versus visual or auditory. We all have a sense that we use more than others. And good for somebody to, who's maybe more feels more connected to their body than they would pictures or talk or even music and speech. So I think so it's good for someone to be able to move, and that can not feel, because I know a lot of times when I've had clients who weren't that articulate, that they'd be like, how long do I have to be in therapy, and just look really nervous. And I would tell them, well, if you're not able to talk much, well, I can help you out with that. And we can also have a variety of things to do, about moving the body, doing breath work, and a lot of different ways to get in touch and release our unwanted feelings. So, in fact, I remember sometimes after a few sessions, I'd even joke with them and say, okay, we went 1 minute over time, and to think you were worried about whether you'd run out of stuff before the end of the session.
So, and I guess, kind of adding to that point, like I'm sure that there's not a standard answer. I'm sure it varies for every individual depending on what they've been through and what they're trying to heal. But generally, how long does it take for somebody to experience, even to start to feel different in a positive way from somatic therapy? Is there sort of a timeline, or does it
Well,
vary?
it varies. There's really no specific timeline. I mean, depends on how well the client is connected to their body, and how hard they're willing to work on it. And sometimes they need to overcome fears, like they might be, like if they grew up in an environment that was constant chaos and abuse, they probably walked around the house holding their breath a lot when they were growing up. So they probably don't even know how to breathe properly. And it can be real scary to somehow and they might have been shallow in their breathing. So to take a real deep breath could be real scary for them, but very worth it. So I would maybe do that with them early in the session, so that we'll have the rest of the session to process any repercussions and the things that they might have felt that were scary or that they hadn't felt in a long time, so they could be okay to leave when it's over.
Right
But
now, is that the flight or fight response that you were describing? Like, if you're a little kid and you're kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop, like you're going to get a beating. Is that when you would? I just did it myself. I almost felt like I almost held my breath there.
yes, that could be. Yeah, that is a form of fight or flight. Like, we like, and it's an interesting interplay with the example you just gave, Daria. It's kind of, you want to flight, but you'll get in more trouble probably if you run out of the house. Then you might get beaten even harder when you come back. So it's kind of a fight where you're fighting the element of surprise, like being prepared for it,
Sure.
so you won't be blindsided when it
Right.
happens.
And it really breaks my heart thinking of a little child
Oh,
dealing with that.
oh yes, it's like it really is like just indescribably just so wrong, but it does
Yeah.
happen a lot.
Now, are these like I'm going to stick with that example for a minute, but so when these people grow up that have been abused and after they come through, like say they see you and they have their sessions, are they able to sort of break that generational trauma? Like by, let's say they have kids and now they're able to kind of have a healthy relationship with their kids and use like a healthy form of discipline versus abuse. Do you see that people are able to make that change?
Yes, people are able to, and sometimes for some clients it's actually easier to make the change than you might think, because they already made up their mind when they were growing up. They're not going to be abusive. They're going to be at their parent. But the tricky part can be teaching them how to do it right.
Yeah.
They might not know how because they didn't have any modeling of the right way. And some of them might just think, well, I'll be the opposite. But problem with that is they could, if they were raised in, say, an authoritarian environment, military like, no nurturing but a lot of discipline, then they might go the other extreme as a parent and be overly permissive, which isn't good for the kids either.
Right. Oh, that's
So,
interesting. Okay.
so the authoritative is the good one, where they're disciplined properly, but they're also given a lot of love and nurturing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things in my own life that I'm eternally grateful for because it seems like the older I get, the more people I do meet that did not have a loving, stable upbringing. And it's very sad, but it's also very hopeful that somatic therapy can help so many people. And I want to ask you too, so just in general, people that have experienced a trauma, whether it's childhood trauma, military trauma, God forbid, a rape, being the
Yeah.
victim of a crime, any traumatic event, like how does it usually show up in their daily lives? Like, are people able to function? Like when somebody comes to you for help, have they been able to function at least outwardly, like hold a job, seemingly look like they're able to kind of, do what they need to do in the world? Like, what does that look like for most people before they're able to resolve the trauma?
Well, I think for a lot of them, they put on the facade and can do a good job up to a point because they want to make it in the world. But sooner or later, if they don't deal with the issues, they'll crash and maybe need some temporary disability and work on themselves. So it's and a lot of people, there's in dysfunctional families, particularly if the parents were drug addicted or alcoholics, there's different roles. The hero child is the one who dresses great, goes, accomplishes things to give the family something to be proud of and to hide the dysfunction from the outside world. But eventually they can crash too. Like they can become perfectionistic and really get on themselves if they ever even make the littlest mistake.
Yeah.
So there, so it's can I'd say it happened to a point, but then you get the therapy, and then you can go out and be doing the same things you used to do, only they're easier for you, and you're feeling a lot better because you had the therapy and released a lot of the trauma.
So the people who come to you, when do they get to the point where they realize they need this? I'm just wondering, are there some people just living with it and they're just in denial? Like, what is there a realization that they come to that, yeah, this is trauma and I need to resolve it?
Well, a lot of them people seek therapy. Well, some of them, I have a couple different offices, and some, I mean, in my full-time place, many, but not all of them are court referred for maybe anger management or something. And my private office, I do a couple days a week, is more like the worried well having a problem. But I think it comes to where they just know they're not feeling right or suddenly having a hard time coping with everything, and that's when they come to therapy. And but I think the bottom line, the real trick in therapy, is to make people realize that no matter how much they were abused in the past, change is up to them.
Yes.
They have to work their therapy. In fact, I think it's exciting for me when a client suddenly realizes that like maybe the problems in the relationship, they're realizing their part in it, and even problems of losing jobs, owning up to their part, which can be painful, but it'll be the only thing to start and act changing.
Yeah, so in that sense, it can also be empowering because when they take
Yeah,
responsibility, they can then change things.
that's right.
Yeah. So Frank, tell us a little bit about like share maybe a few of the exercises in the book, that things that people can do at home to at least start feeling better. And actually too, I would love it if you could touch on the vagus nerve because I know that's something that you talk about in the book. If you could explain its role in all of this as well.
Yes, well, the vagus nerve is kind of like the center for all emotion. Now, we have the hippocampus and the amygdala and all, but the vagus nerve, I mean, it pretty much can determine that when you're feeling emotions, and there's ways like taking deep breaths in a certain pattern, like square breathing, in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5, and then rest for 5, and do it like 10 to 20 times, can calm you down, as well as there's ways. Many people may have heard of the tapping solution, where you tap on certain
Yes.
meridians. Yes, I use that with my clients a lot, and so there's different ways. Of course, changing your thoughts can be part of it, like looking at something from a different angle. But I think for many clients, it works the best and the fastest when you combine techniques.
Hmm.
Like in my book, I do things I have exercises that involve shaking out your arms, moving your legs, moving around. And in fact, I would recommend that anybody who works at an office job, it's probably a good idea at least once an hour to get up and move around a little bit. I mean, get your circulation going, because sitting in too long in the sitting condition can cause everything from blood clots to a lot of other issues. So it's important to move around, and even body scan, where you get in a meditative state and go through each part of your body, like feet, legs, knees, and all the way up torso, stomach, torso, and arms, hands, all the way. And that can help you notice where you feel your tension the most. And then there's exercises where you breathe in, and then when you're breathing out, you visualize, in whatever form pops in your head, the tension leaving your body, either through your mouth when you breathe out, or maybe down through your feet into the earth, but either way, away from you.
Yeah, I love that. Now, when people do a body scan, do you recommend that they lay down? Like, should you be laying down on your bed or on a couch, or can you do it sitting up?
No, you can do it sitting up, and anyone who has breathing issues and tends to sleep on their side, I wouldn't recommend laying down. But for some people, laying down could be the most comfortable. The idea is to get into whatever position is comfortable for you. Because
Right. And
there's
then you would just, go ahead.
Yeah, because there's an element of authenticity in any kind of therapy. It's like, I can try different exercises, but it's a good idea for anyone to modify them in ways that work best for you. I mean, some people, sitting is fine, laying might be fine, and as well as even when you're changing your thoughts around, sometimes changing the thought, uh, to look at the problem from a different angle. Like, let's say, oh my God, I got to do a podcast today, and then I have a doctor's appointment, and then I have a group to run this afternoon. Oh my God. Instead of thinking, well, I've done lots of podcasts, and I feel like I already know Daria, and then my group is and then this doctor's appointment is going to be very helpful, and then the group is kind of my highlight of the week here. They're a very dynamic, enthusiastic group of people learning dialectical behavioral therapy. So, you reframe the direct thoughts, but sometimes another way to do it is to change your thoughts into, well, those who are Dari, you might remember. You might remember. I don't know your exact age, but you might remember that old show, Monty Python's Flying Circus, where when there was there was a scene change, John Cleese would say, "And now for something completely different." So
My brothers used to watch it. I remember that. Yeah.
yeah. so so you could make your thought into something completely different, like remembering a past vacation or a good time, or something, or thinking how great it's going to be when you crawl into bed tonight, and something completely
Yeah.
different. So it works both ways.
Yeah, so like you would go to bed with sort of a sense of accomplishment. Wow, look at all I did today. I did my
Yeah.
podcast, I went to the doctor, I got good news, or I got some strategies that I can employ to become healthier. I really enjoyed my
Yeah.
group. And now I'm going to go to bed with the satisfaction of knowing like I had a full day and
Yeah.
look what I accomplished.
Yeah, that's it. And I would recommend that that idea to procrastinators. It's like there are
Yeah.
people who think, well, it'll feel better in the moment to put it off. I do a technique, do some proactive thinking. Think, how will you feel in an hour or two or at the end of the day if you put this off and didn't get it done versus how will you feel if you did get it done? And I feel like, well, I'm glad I got that out of the way. Now the weight's off my shoulder and I don't have to think about it anymore because I got it done. And, versus, oh, I'll still be thinking, I still have to do it. I just wasted an hour playing a video game when I could have been doing that. And
Yeah.
so,
It's almost like they have analysis paralysis because they just think about it and they just don't do anything, And it's funny, these little therapies or these little techniques that you're giving us. I mean, you can use them for, it sounds like everyday things, not even just getting processing trauma, but just even just for maybe some personality traits, like if you are a procrastinator.
well, yes, you can use
Yeah.
these techniques for that, the proactive thinking, and maybe even if you're sitting on a couch and knowing you should, real comfortable, but knowing you should be, nothing wrong with that if you've gotten your stuff done. But if you're tempted to procrastinate, get up and move your body a little bit and get the circulation, and then you'll feel probably more equipped to do what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting
Hey,
back to what you were saying about like, when you're at work, if you're in an office building, I mean, I work from home and remotely, but I sometimes I'll set the timer on my phone like every hour to remind me to get up because now you're a writer too, so you probably understand this, Frank. You get very focused on what you're doing and you just want to keep going and you're like in this flow. And I could,
yeah.
before I know it, several hours have gone by and I'm still sitting, which is not good. We need to move our bodies. Our bodies were meant to move. So one thing I do is I just kind of set a timer on my phone so that I make sure that every hour I'm getting up. Now I do have a dog, which really helps because she does go out a lot. So, get
Uh,
out, take my dog for a walk around the block, just move the body. If it's a nice day, I even find just leaving my phone at home and if I'm taking my dog or I'm by myself, just really looking around me and, noticing flowers or noticing a
yeah.
tree or anything like just to ground with nature and just realize that we're still human. I know we have all this wonderful technology, but I think sometimes we become slaves to technology instead of the reverse.
Well, that's the thing. When you take a walk, whether it's in the woods, in a field, or on a beach or something, it's turn your techno. You know, le- le- don't turn your. I mean, it's a good idea to still have your cell phone in case there's an emergency, but try and just focus on the nature without it, and you'll get deeper and deeper into the experience of nature and often feeling one with everything and peace and all those mystical
Yeah,
states you can get into.
absolutely. I mean, I know for myself, and that wasn't necessarily for trauma. It was just I read about, well, I'm an early riser anyway, but I love like being outside when the sun's coming up and maybe touching a
Oh,
leaf. I'll admit I don't like to be barefoot except when I'm on the beach.
oh,
But I
okay.
will, I'll hold on to a leaf on a tree or something just to get that, just to feel that energy. I don't know, can't explain it, but it just feels really good to remember that we're connected to the earth. And it just sort of, I don't know, it just makes me feel so much better.
Oh, yes. Well, that's important. I mean, after all, we Homo sapiens, we're still animals. And so it's natural for us to be out with nature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very,
Uh,
very healing. So,
yes. And at least part of the day, like, out there. And well, I'm lucky that my full-time job is just a block away from the Delaware Bay in New Jersey. So I can, during a break or before or after work, I can go take a walk there, and it's very invigorating.
yeah. Yeah, I find water especially very healing, just to like, whether I'm looking at the ocean or a river or a lake, whatever it is, just there's something about water for me that's just kind of watching it flow. It's very, very calming.
Well, yes, that's why 28 years ago I moved from PA. Like I grew up in your general area in Montgomery
Well,
County, and
well,
you know, and but I moved to the shore because I know. Well, we spent summers in Sea Isle City, New Jersey, growing up. We had a house, and the undulation of the waves, even during the non-swimming season, and the salt air, and just
yeah.
watch it being near water, it invigorates me also.
Well, actually, I moved to Florida in 94. I'm in Pennsylvania right now, just visiting family. That's the beauty of working remotely. But
Yeah,
I live in Melbourne, and I make it a point to get to the beach at least like, one day out of the weekend. Um,
yeah.
because I love that. And that's so funny. I grew up going to vacationing in Ocean City with my family, and
Oh,
yeah, I've
okay.
always loved the ocean. And I think there's just something about it, something about the energy when you're at the beach, even if it's cold, just to be there and watching the waves and just smelling the salt air and being in that environment that's just so
Oh,
invigorating.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can make you feel like a different person almost.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Frank, I want to ask you, so what are your plans for the future with writing? Do you have more books coming out, or what are your plans in that regard?
Well, I plan to, well, within the next couple of weeks, hopefully, I plan to release a paperback edition of Somatic Therapy too. It sold very well in Kindle, but I know some people still prefer the old-fashioned way of reading a physical book, and so that can help. And then work, and then I'm working on a accompanying workbook now. If you I mean, it's going to be paperback, but it's also going to be online. So I'd say, well, if you're going through a workbook that's on Kindle, buy a journal and then, do the exercises that way. And
Excellent.
yes, and then beyond that, I I have I worked with my writing coach last week. We had a session, and I think it's the same as yours, Michelle Culp, and we talked about how. Maybe what are hot topics right now that I can write about? Well, dialectical behavioral therapy, which I'm certified in, anxiety reduction, relationship anxiety, as well as CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So when all these books come out in the next month on somatic therapy, then I'm going to pick my topic and get to work on that. And I think when I do retire, which could be anywhere from I'm 65 now, it could be anywhere from 67 to 70. Maybe depending on how well my books are selling. It's I I'm going to create some courses online and maybe even have my own podcast like you, Daria.
Oh, I
So,
think you should. That would be awesome.
oh yes, because they're fun to do and they help you reach people.
Yeah, absolutely. And Frank, I want to ask you this too before we end this interview. I want to make sure I ask this. So, do you work with people in person only? Just for anybody listening that might think, wow, I'd like to work with Frank. Do you do this online, or is it strictly something where the person, for safety reasons, needs to be in the same room with you?
Well, I prefer to do the old-fashioned face-to-face way, but since COVID started, a lot of telehealth. They have the option. They have the option of telehealth because it's good in an emergency. Like if the car breaks down that morning of their session, okay, well, I'll send you a link and we'll do telehealth. Or if there's a snowstorm, I can still see clients so through telehealth. But I prefer it now. As far as if anyone wants to come and see me, the insurance laws imply that if you do telehealth, the client has to be physically in the state of New
Oh,
Jersey
I
where
see.
I,
Okay.
I could be
So,
in PA or Florida, but the client has to be in New Jersey.
oh, interesting. Okay. Did not realize that. But let's say they just wanted to not even they wanted to bypass insurance and not even go that route and just maybe pay you directly. Could you work with somebody anywhere?
Uh, yes, I yes, I could work with somebody then, and I think there are. If I get responses for this, I might look into. I think there's certain certifications I can get so the client can be in another state and do
Oh, excellent.
telehealth. Yeah,
Excellent.
I'll look into that.
So I just want to remind everybody, and I want to give them the full title of the book here, Frank. It's called Somatic Therapy for Beginners, Heal from the Inside Out with Mindfulness, Somatic Awareness, and Self-Compassion. So right now, as Frank was saying, it's available in Kindle only, but he's going to be releasing it in paperback soon. So do you have a kind of a general idea, Frank, when the paperback version might be out?
Well, I have the manuscript now. Now all I need to do is get a get a cover created for it, and then it'll be good to go. So it could be any time in the next 2 to 4 weeks, most likely.
Wonderful. Well, I will definitely look forward to that. I did read it. I did download it in Kindle, because but I'm definitely a girl. I'm old fashioned that way. I love my paperback books because I like to take notes and again, you've had those exercises at the end, and I know the workbook is coming out soon too, as well. So that's awesome. But yeah, I love paperbacks for that reason because I can highlight things and make notes and things like that. But I did read it in Kindle, and I wrote a review on Amazon because the book is just, it's phenomenal. I
I
think
appreciate
and it
that.
truly, Frank, one of the things I love about it is that you break things down in easy to understand terms. So you don't have to be a scientist or have a degree, to understand these concepts and why they work. I think you give sort of a nice overview as to kind of why they work. And then you give practical exercises at the end of each chapter that people can safely do at home that don't require, the
Right.
presence of a therapist and start to feel, start to get some positive effects from it.
That's a thing. Like even though I'm a pretty smart man, I never want to in my writing and in my talking, I would never want to make anybody feel stupid. I want people to feel they do understand and can get it. And plus, I mean, I want these techniques to be able to work for anybody, no matter who you are.
Yeah, it's
So
well, you succeeded at that.
thanks.
For sure. So Frank, I'm going to put all of your information in the show description, but let us know,
Okay.
where can people find you though? Give us your website and any socials, any place where people can connect with you.
Okay, well, you can, my website, it is Healy's Healing. So put that in. I mean, back in 2012, I was at a weekend book writing conference, and sometimes the obvious can be right in front of you, but somebody needs to point it out. Somebody said, I have the perfect last name for a healer, Healy. So
You do.
so
I agree.
kind of became my logo. And so you can go on my website, and you also have an opportunity to, on the website, download a free book manuscript that I've written and get on my mailing list. And so you can do that. And you can all, if you want, on my personal email, I have one of those old fashioned ones from 25 years ago. It's Healy's Heal and then the number one at msn.com.
And I want
And
to remind people because I made this mistake. It's Healy. There's no E and
yeah,
it's not EY, it's
Healy.
Healy.
And then you repeat HEAL, and then the number one at msn.com. And reason when I started writing books and getting known, I thought, I have this email on so many things that really wouldn't make any sense to change it. So I'm going to keep it what it is.
Yeah, that
So I don't
totally
have to
makes sense.
go into so many things and change it. So you can do that. And on my website, you'll feel, and you could also go to my Amazon page, because overall, I've published more than 20 books in the past 18 years. So a lot of, there's a lot of choice. There's the Heal, Heal, Heal Your Memory series, a self-help trilogy where for each book I interviewed 12 to 15 people who overcame some real trauma but are now happy and thriving. In fact, Daria, if I had known you back in the day when I was writing them, I might have interviewed you with all your physical health challenges that you've overcome. And so it's, there's that. And then I also wrote, I have some books on emotional intelligence, and as well as I wrote a novel, The Unquiet Sea. So you get a variety of books from me when you check it out.
My goodness, Frank, I'm gonna have to get some of these other books. I'm gonna definitely
Uh,
enjoy them because again, I read Somatic Therapy for Beginners and it was awesome. And I love your writing style. It's very conversational. And I have to say this too, Frank, before we end the interview. Like one thing that really came across to me, and I think will come across to all your readers, is that you genuinely care about helping people. I mean, I really got a palpable sense of that as I was reading. And it just really struck me. And that's one of the things I love about the book too.
Yes, well, I'm glad to hear that it shows through that because, really, I'll do anything for anybody. I mean, even, I mean, my dad died in 2018, and my mom still lives in the retirement community, still in a house. So every day, that's another way I use my memory in a little way. Every day, I send my mom a text with a memory of something that happened on
Aw.
this day of the year sometimes. So,
Oh my God, I'm sure she loves that.
oh, yeah. When I
That
talk
is
to
so
her,
cool.
yeah, she always say, keep them coming, keep the memories coming.
My God, Frank, what a special gift that is, though, when you know that you've been able to process it and now once you were able to sort of manage it to
Yeah.
fit your life, it's such a beautiful gift. I mean, I can remember some things. I think most people can remember things, but not to that extent. And to be able to share that with your mom, that's a beautiful gift.
Oh, yes, it is. It kind of makes her day. And she says it shows that I'm thinking about her for at least part of every day. So
Yeah.
and sometimes, well, it was funny when I started dating my now wife. It was right around the same time that my first book came out. A memoir of what it was like having the memory. And she told me that I am not to bring up anniversaries of dates when we might have had an argument or something. And said, so
Well, I
I've
don't blame her.
yeah, so I've kept to that. Although, I mean, last night we were reminiscing about this is our anniversary week. In many years, we went on some great vacations this week. So we were looking at Facebook pictures and
Aw.
reminiscing about different vacations we went on and stuff. So
Well,
just a good part
congratulations.
of memory.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Frank, on everything on your work, on your anniversary, just on all of your accomplishments. It's pretty amazing. And again, everyone, I want follow Frank on Amazon. I'm going to put all the links in the show description, so it'll make it really easy for people to follow you and connect with you. I definitely recommend Somatic Therapy for Beginners for anyone who really wants to sort of start to apply these principles to feel better. Whether you're trying to get over a trauma or maybe you just want to live a more fulfilling life. I mean, these are really practical exercises that anybody can do at home, in the privacy of their own home and comfort of their own home. And again, like I said, it's written in such a nice, easygoing, conversational style that my God, I finished it in one sitting. I mean, I was so
Oh, good.
fascinated by it, and now I'm looking forward to getting more of your books, Frank. So,
Oh,
but
good.
I really want to thank you for joining me today. I so enjoyed this interview. It's fascinating, and I'm looking forward to having you back, Frank. Maybe when the book comes out in paperback and you have the workbook, I'd love to bring you back on to maybe delve into this topic in a little bit more detail.
Yes, I would like that. It's I mean, I've been on many podcasts, but I have to say, Daria, this I enjoyed this. This was one of my best ones.
Oh, thank you, Frank. And listen, before we end, I got to ask you: Are you a Philly sports fan?
Oh yes, man. I just hope they can get it together for the playoff. The Phillies can get it together, and
Yeah,
the
me too.
Eagles. Yeah, yeah, because they really. I think it's pretty much almost a conclusion that they'll be second seed. I don't think they'll
Yeah.
catch the Brewers, but I think they'll stay ahead of the Dodgers for
Oh, good.
home
Okay. I
home
hope so.
advantage.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
So,
hoping for too, Frank. I'm going to a game this week, so I had to ask about the Phillies.
oh yeah.
Yes.
So, do you know
And
which one it is? Maybe I'll see you in the stands on TV.
yeah, yeah, actually later tonight. So,
Oh, okay. All right.
gonna
Certainly
see
hope
them
they
play the
can.
Marlins.
Last night was no excuse. I mean, they swept the Marlins in Miami earlier, so they
I
should
know.
win the next two, and they
Yeah,
should be
I know.
able to handle the Twins over the weekend too.
I hope so. Listen, after that, I'm still recovering from the Eagles game on Sunday and that
Oh,
crazy
man, that
ending.
was. I'm
So,
sure, even though it had a happy ending, those last minutes probably upped some ER admissions in the Philly area.
yeah.
Uh,
So I'll tell you though, I find, sports can be very healing too. I feel like it's kind of a unifier, brings people together. And when you look at it for what it is, just entertainment and fun, and just really try to enjoy it, it's awesome. I know we get pretty intense here in the Philly area, but
Oh yes,
it's
we
fun.
do get really intense, and it's like I usually watch the Eagles games at my 95-year-old mother-in-law's in Stone Harbor because she still likes to high five when they score and
Oh, good
all.
for
So,
her.
so then after the game, if I take a walk, always in some Eagles garb, people be coming out of the local bar, and all you have to do is say to them, "Go Birds," and it's like a
That's
sense
true.
of community comes together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Frank, again, I want to thank you for joining me here for episode 7 of True Voice Unfiltered. I thoroughly enjoyed this too, and I look forward to having you back real soon.
Yes, thanks. It was a pleasure, and I'll be glad to come back.
All right. Take care.
You too.